All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard on Twitter. You follow me, I promise I will follow you back. I'm joined by my co-host KB, Ken Barrett, not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett, of course. How you doing, my friend?
Fantastic. It's a great week. Preseason games start this weekend, and I can't wait, Gene.
Football is
Saturday night,
here.
Saturday night football.
Hey,
Let's
you know
go.
what? Yeah, I'm excited. And we have a special guest on with us tonight, Dan Mitchell of the Dan Mitchell podcast. Be sure to check him out. He does great work, man. I watched your show and I was fucking hyped, man. I was like,
It's
let's
awesome.
go, man. Let's turn some football on. I had to go to all 22 and watch a few, watch some plays because you bring it, man. And it's not. I know the Buffalo Bills are your team.
Absolutely.
But I've watched some of your videos and you were talking about a lot of the other things that are going on in the NFL. And to me, that's what we need, man. I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit off camera where, you could go to the NFL network or some of your other networks to talk about this, but you want to talk to people that are invested in their team. You want to talk to people that know a little bit more than give them the talking points they're given to talk about on camera. So, welcome to the show, man. And now that you've been on, man, you're a friend of the show.
Yeah, no, hey man, listen, I've definitely been looking forward to this because I would say out of all of the opponents that we're facing in 2021, I would say that my audience and myself included, very much looking forward to the matchup to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number one, because y'all are obviously Super Bowl champions, reigning Super Bowl champions. But then at the end of the day, you also have our arch nemesis who has been essentially wiping his ass with us his entire career. So I can tell you that this has been a very anticipated matchup for 2021. So I'm very excited to start this conversation today. And
I wanted y'all in the Super Bowl, and I think Gene did too.
Me too, dude.
Yeah.
Me too, bro.
Yeah. I just, and again, there's that Kansas City thing again. I would have thought that week 5 would have been a big time game for you guys. Some kind of measuring stick for when you talk about the AFC, they facing the defending AFC champions because they're not Super Bowl champions, but the AFC champions, being able to face them and just kind of see where your team is. I think week 5 is a good measuring stick because you've knocked off a lot of the rust. You're playing regular season games. You've played enough to get an idea of where your team's headed. So, does that Kansas City Chiefs game week 5, it still doesn't match up to the Bucs game week 14.
So, I would say with the Kansas City Chiefs game, man, I feel like that this is a weight that needs to desperately be lifted off of our shoulders, right? Going into it, we obviously got our asses beat during week 5 and then during the AFC Championship, much of the same. I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately, from the AFC perspective, is our kryptonite. And I'm really, really hoping that we have been able this offseason to address, I would say, the antidote on how to actually beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Because legitimately just looking at the playbook from the Buccaneers during the Super Bowl, in my opinion, I believe the reason that you guys ended up winning that was just because your pass rush was absolutely disgusting. Like, you made Patrick Mahomes look like a JV quarterback working out of a Swiss cheese offensive line the entire game. And the investments that we ended up putting in via the draft and then with some free agency, and we finally have our one-tech defensive tackle in Starlin Talele back. Thank God. So many people, right? Like, so many people don't understand the significance of having a true one-tech defensive tackle on your team, of how much of the significance of that plays with your pass rush in general and your overall defense.
Especially with the scheme you guys run.
Exactly. 1,000%. I look back and it's funny because I talk to a lot of Bills fans and a lot of people are unhappy with Tremaine Edmonds, right? Our middle linebacker. He was drafted the exact same year as Josh Allen, right? And then everyone was like, oh my God, he's a bust, he's a bust, he's a bust. But what a lot of people don't understand is that with Starlo Talele out, with our one tech out, offensive linemen were getting into that second level and completely taking away what Edmonds does best. So, with that missing piece, I'm really hoping for the improvement. But back to the original question, as much as I'm looking forward to the Buccaneers game, I mean, to say that we lose the Buccaneers game, I will be completely fine. I just need like a bigger measuring stick for me is finally addressing the elephant in the room and putting the Chiefs down this year in Week 5.
Yeah,
Hands down.
It's got to happen. I mean, I've got it marked on my calendar. It just because, you know, everybody's talking already before the season even started about the Chiefs are going back to the AFC Championship. And there are some teams out there that have made improvements and put themselves in a position, and your team especially. And I do want to talk about some of those players. KB, I'm sorry, I'm hogging all the time here. Go ahead and jump in here, man.
No, I think just in terms of these matchups, I think the NFL are wussies. I think the schedule should have made the Bucs Bills Week 1. There's a chance that Dak Prescott might not even play Week 1. As of right now, he's not even practicing.
You're about to see Ben DiNucci Week 1. That's about to be a hell of a game, right?
Yeah, Thursday night game that people already don't want to watch Thursday nights anyway. But then you get into the Bills and their matchup with the Chiefs. I agree that Week 5 is just a perfect matchup in terms of we're going to see probably a not weather-induced game. We're going to see these two teams at their height, probably at their max, conditioning, like they get their football legs back. It should be a great one. But for the Bills with the preseason coming up, what exactly are you looking for from this team defensively in order to show that they could hang with an offense like the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah, so Week 1, they ended up just coming out. They only made 2 official announcements that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are not going to be starting Week 1. They haven't made any other like official announcements. Sean McDermott's keeping it very close to the vest, but I'm assuming that they are going to keep it probably around that exact same theme, that we are not going to see a lot of starters out there. What I want to see specifically from our defense, and I actually just ended up putting out a video of my expectations of what I'm looking for on the Friday night at 7 p.m. matchup, is really just our new investments on the defensive line, right? Because what's good is that Dan Campbell came out and said that he's expecting to put out his entire starting team, first team, offense and defense out on the field for the first quarter. What I'm looking for, and what I am definitely looking for, is whether or not that I can see if our rookies in Basham and Rousseau can really make that transition into the NFL. I desperately need to see whether or not that our first and second pick in the draft was worthwhile. Because once we did that, like the second that we ended up drafting 2 defensive ends in the first and second round, I was scratching my head. I was like, okay, why would we do that? But I really want to see one of them at least be able to make a play, or at least demonstrate that, okay, this guy can make an impact year 1. Number 2, our CB2 situation. Right. So right now we have Trey White and Levi Wallace. We're CB1 and CB2. We had a rookie that we ended up drafting last year in Dane Jackson. He came out of the 7th round, and he had a great game against the Dolphins after we were up like 45 points in like the 3rd quarter or something like that. Like, I mean, like we were wiping our ass with this team at this point. And I mean, he had a couple of splash plays.
Didn't you hang like 50 on him?
Oh my God, dude. Like Matt Barkley ended up putting 20 of those 50 points on them. Like it was terrible. It was terrible. I would say out of all of my trolls in my YouTube career, half of them are Dolphins fans. And I was like walking around with the biggest cock in the face of the planet during that entire thing. But with Bills fans, like they love like the good stories and the sweethearts, right? Like they're like, oh, like Dane Jackson, he's going to be CB2. He hasn't been that good. Right? Like, I mean, he has actually been trash during this entire training camp process. So I'm also going to be looking at Dane Jackson, because if Trey White or Levi Wallace were to go down, we would essentially be screwed when it came down to any type of depth in the CB position, especially when it comes out on the outside. So I want to see if this guy can at least be somewhat relevant and see whether or not that he can make plays. If not, then we're going to have to make some type of last minute move where we can go on ahead and start adding to our CB depth to avoid any type of situation if we were to come to any type of injury.
Now I have to jump in here real quick, because I've seen a couple of plays on video of Jake Kumaro. I think I'm pronouncing his name right.
Kumaro? Yeah.
Going one-on-one against Trey White, and he's holding his own, if not doing better. And he's a guy that I haven't heard his name mentioned when, as far in NFL circles. Here's a guy that I think could definitely be a sleeper on your offense. It's offensively on your team. What do you think?
So, I mean, here's the deal. Going off of my last point, Bills fans are in love with the splash play, sort of like good feel-good story. Last year when Kumaro ended up catching a touchdown against the Broncos game, caught that touchdown reception from Josh Allen, and I legitimately was watching this game. And granted, I cover the fucking Bills. So as soon as when he caught that, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He's on our team. What the hell is this? Right. And then a week or two later, we ended up cutting him. And then the Packers ended up getting him again. And then now he's back on the Bills. And then afterwards, once Aaron Rodgers ended up giving him his huge praise, was finally once I started giving him, I would say, more attention, really understanding what he has been doing during training camp. And in my opinion, with this guy, I sincerely believe that he is going to be locking down our 6th wide receiver spot at this point. So many people have been obsessed with a guy that we drafted last year named Isaiah Hodgins right out of Oregon State, but he was on the IR the entire year. But I mean, with the way that Kumaro has not only been establishing a lot of chemistry with Josh Allen, I think that this man's about to lock down that 6th spot coming into it. And I mean, I am 100% down for it because he's proven his worth. And I mean, he definitely does have, into the backing of some great quarterbacks in the league.
Oh, I was waiting. I thought KB. I thought you were getting ready to say something. I was looking at your face. You're
what am I gonna follow up with that? I mean, we have our own versions of Scotty Miller and Jalen Darden going on right now that fans are trying to clamor for Tyler Johnson to get cut. No one knows what to do with all these receivers. There's just so many talented receivers across the league. You can really find these guys off the streets, as you're saying. Heck, this guy was on the Packers, who everyone says Aaron Rodgers has no talent around him, but then they let guys like this go who are doing some great things in training camp and, have even flashed during the regular season. So it's just crazy what the NFL is these days and how many of these receivers, some of them should just learn how to play cornerback at this point. Make some money elsewhere because there's so many receivers.
And so one thing I will say, I feel like both of our teams are spoiled when it comes down into the wide receiver position. I feel out of all the talent in the wide receiver room, I mean, I could argue that we probably at least hold, minimum 9% of all of the best talent that the NFL has in 2 organizations. Because I mean, just look at your wide receiver room and look at the Buffalo Bills wide receiver room. There's legitimately a bunch to choose from, and it's getting to a point where when I'm looking at the Bills receiving room, there's people that are most likely going to get cut this preseason that would be starters on many teams.
So I'm going to ask you, you talk about, it sounds like the Bills are going to carry in 6 wide receivers into the season.
And so I'd say so, man. I mean, some people are trying and formulate a theory that we would hold 7, but I mean, that's just not within Sean McDermott's DNA. I can almost guarantee you that we are going to keep 6. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to be, we're going to keep Diggs, obviously, Beasley, obviously, Gabe Davis, our number 3 rookie, who's awesome. Definitely Emmanuel Sanders, who is John Brown's, he is his replacement, who is cheaper and better, in my opinion.
So he was an upgrade over John Brown.
Yes. And so in my opinion, at least. And then most likely Isaiah McKenzie, who is going to be taking over the returning responsibilities from Andre Roberts, who was shipped off to Houston. And then number 6, if I was a gambling man, is going to be Kumaro.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And you guys have a tight end that's coming off of injury, I believe, calf injury.
Yeah, we're talking Dawson Knox, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how does he fit into this offense?
Dude, honestly, man. And so, I mean, I would say out of any weaknesses on the Bills, so right now, I would say it would have to be between the tight end and the running back situation. And like, I mean, like we'll definitely get into like the whole running game like issue, like right that we had in 2020. But as far as the tight end situation is concerned, is with Dawson Knox and so Tommy Sweeney, they have tremendous dropping issues, like very, very bad dropping issues. It was so bad, right? Like in 2019, when Josh Allen ended up finishing off with like 58, 59% completion rate, out of all of the drops that Dawson Knox had that year, if he were to catch 50% more of the passes that Josh Allen were to throw to him, then he would have finished at 62%. That is how bad his dropping issue is at this point.
Sounds like Shaq shooting free throws.
Exactly. It's hit or miss. Like, I mean, like this tight end like makes crazy plays, but he drops the easiest passes that you could have. And that's why there's so many rumors that the Bills are trying to go after Zach Ertz for a trade, which is like something along those lines.
Could you see that? I mean,
I think it's actually a good fit. I don't like the money. I think it's a good fit though.
Oh yeah, dude, like 1,000%. Like, I mean, like right now, like this is the Buffalo Bills window. And I mean, normally I'm very conservative when it comes to any type of moves, like from my own perspective, when it comes down into like Bills, like making like crazy trades or acquiring crazy free agents. But I mean, I have been beating the table to make a trade for Zach Ertz because we need a reliable tight end. We need a reliable tight end. And unfortunately, in my opinion, I just don't think Dawson Knox is it. He's not reliable enough, which is shitty.
We got an abundance of tight ends down here in Tampa, so feel free.
Tanner Hudson, there you go.
Hey, watch Tanner Hudson this preseason. Watch him and Ryan Griffin. If you don't want to believe me, like Ryan Griffin 2 years ago led all of the preseason in terms of yards by a quarterback. And like 80% of his like yardage went to a tight end and Tanner Hudson. Yeah,
dude, it's rough. Like honestly, I mean, like I would say that like the tight end position is probably, I would say, my biggest concern going into our like offense. But one thing that Dawson Knox is good at is he is a tremendous blocking tight end. So, I mean, that's why, like, I'm not saying that we need to send him off because he does provide value to this team. But as far as an additional weapon to Josh Allen, he's just too inconsistent.
So you talked a little bit about Tommy Sweeney. Is there a spot on this team for him, or is he fighting for a spot on this team?
Yeah. And so right now I would say that he is without a doubt fighting for a spot on this team. Last year, he sat out the entire season. He ended up going on the COVID list. And so unfortunately, he had like an additional defect. And so that affected his heart, which required him to go on ahead and sit out the entire season. So I definitely think that he is going to make the 53 just because we have zero depth. I mean, honestly, I think I'm like almost willing to like say that like we don't even have a tight end in general. So I'm not worried about him making this team, but whether or not that he would be able to make a genuine impact, especially since he took an entire year off the football. But now, so, I mean, I could definitely see him making this team, but as far as him being the answer or so being this guy that can really be like our true additional weapon for Josh Allen, I'm not seeing him, man. Like, that's why, like, I am still beating the table for us to make some type of move for Zach Ertz. If we had Zach Ertz, then I would be so comfortable with this offense. It would be, yeah. And so, like, you would be talking to a different guy right now if we had Zach Ertz on this team.
And I have to ask you, is your organization one that would make a late season move free agency wise to fix a position? Could you see that happening?
And so historically, no, but right now, yes. just because I would say right now the Buffalo Bills, as far as the youth that we have on this team, as far as overall the contracts that we have on this team, with the talent that we have on this team, this is our window. This is our window. And I would say that this window is going to last for about 2 years. It's going to be this year and next year. Yes, 1,000%. I could definitely see Brandon Beane going on ahead and finding out some type of contract, some type of deal to bring in a playmaker to fill that last hole so that we can take that next step. 1,000%. Unfortunately, with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, I have a feeling that they give a lot more precedent and a lot more weight on the defense rather than the offense. So I would see them making a move, a late move for a CB2 rather than another offensive weapon, in my opinion.
I know you hate Miami, or I know you have your feelings with Miami. I hear there's a cornerback that's available. Is that an option that you all would consider? Or are you talking more lower end option instead of a high end? I know also CJ Henderson's his name's been tossed out there.
CJ Henderson and Jax is available, and I know you're talking about X, right?
Yeah, Howard.
So X. I'm pretty sure that they ended up working out a deal with him.
Oh, did they?
I think so. I want to say it was today that they did. They ended up restructuring his contract, and he's going to stay. A lot of Bills fans don't like this, but I am a huge advocate for bringing in Richard Sherman. And so I think a front door.
Yeah.
And so
you guys play zone. Why not?
And so I think a front door in Seattle would agree with me. That man still has it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I am 1,000%. I have been wanting Richard Sherman since right before his incident and after his incident. I would welcome Richard Sherman on a 1-year deal with open arms, 1,000%. I think that would completely solidify our defense.
Well, for us at the Bucs last year with AB, I'm on record of this podcast saying, hell no, don't effing do it. Don't do it. Apparently, he's been the best receiver in camp so far.
I've been on board with it.
He's been better than Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, apparently. Apparently, he's cooking cornerbacks so ridiculous that it's just not even fair, making one-handed catches left and right.
Well, he's a 50 route runner.
Gene, he had apparently a knee surgery, knee scope at least. These are things that you don't expect from a 33-year-old who's rarely played the past couple of years. And we have these, character concerns, even more so probably than what Richard Sherman has, alleged against him. So it's just crazy, what that one move can possibly do for your team.
Hey, my friend Ramona Kay is a huge Dolphins fan. I have to.
Yeah.
And she has been low key taking shots about your defense. And about you should be worried about the defense. So
let me ask Ramona this. And so does Ramona watch TD Fins Talk? And so Ramona, you watch TD. And so me and TD Fins Talk, we actually do the show called the AFC East Roundtable. And so he's the Dolphins YouTuber of it. And I love him to death. But normally all my Dolphins trolls come from his audience fan base. So I'm curious to see if Ramona watches TD. And so me and TD sort of have a friendly beef. Last year, he was trying to bet me that and so the Dolphins were going to be the Bills. And I said, yo, if the Dolphins beat the Bills, then I will wear a Dolphins jersey. And if the Bills beat the Dolphins, then you need to wear a Dolphins jersey during our second matchup. And obviously I won. So during the second matchup, I was luckily able to watch TD wearing a Bills jersey while the Bills took an absolute shit on the Dolphins. It was probably one of the best part of my YouTube career.
So if you're talking about your division, who is the team that let's take the Patriots out of the situation here. What team do you hate the most? Because everybody hates the Patriots.
Yeah, but Brady's gone. This is the best time to play the Patriots. You got a quarterback locked up for 6 years now.
You know what? But
now's the time to beat him up.
Well, they already know they can all beat him up.
I don't know. Everyone's talking about how the Patriots do have some really good defensive players coming back. It all comes down to their quarterback situation. I still think that they're going to give people some games.
Yeah, well, honestly, so when it comes down to it, I'm thinking,
yeah, Cam Newton, yeah, right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
I have taken this take. All right. So I have made this take. I do think that 3 teams from the AFC East will make the playoffs this year.
Who's the third?
Who is the third?
The Dolphins and the Pats and the Bills, obviously. And so the Bills are going to win it. I think the Dolphins will finish second. They'll make it, and the Pats are going to squeak in third place and make the playoffs.
Hold on, let me write this down.
Yep. Yeah, dude. Exactly, man. And say that I'm wrong. Submit it to Cole.
No. I'm not that guy. I'm not a trash talker. I'm just. I got to write this down.
See, I see one team from the AFC West making. I don't really. I mean, the Chargers. I love Herbert, but I can't buy in yet. I can't push those chips in. But I think 3 teams from the NFC Central or AFC Central and East have a chance, or South.
And I know that you follow your division. What has Miami done?
East.
That East. Goodness,
I said South. I meant East.
Yeah, East. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah, because
what makes you think that Miami is that team that can go to the playoffs?
Well, I mean, last year, right? I'm a big fan of Brian Flores. I'm a big fan of Brian Flores.
What he's done.
And so I really like the culture that he has created. I like the team that he's created. I like that he's fiscally conservative as far as being able to build a team with youth, as far as that works out. His defense is incredible. His secondary is the best secondary in the AFC East, in my opinion. It's better than the Bills. And I will go on record in saying that I think that the secondary from the Dolphins is the best secondary in the AFC East.
Good secondaries too, when you think about it.
Amazing, right? So the only question from the Dolphins are going to live and die by how Tua performs this year. Yeah. They are going to live and die, but I do see that their defense at least will win them 8 games this year, at least. And so if Tua can squeak out at least 3 or 4 games where he just absolutely balls, then I guarantee you they will make the playoffs.
Yeah. Again, I'm sorry.
Big ifs. I never loved Tua. I mean, I like Tua coming out, but I never bought him as a top 5 guy. If you got him where Mac Jones was this year, I think that's kind of what would have been solid expectation, especially coming off his injury. Watching him last year just really hurt my eyes. Fitzpatrick literally just outplayed him, and we're coming from Bucs fans. We enjoy Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic before last season was the highlight of my Bucs watching career since the Super Bowl in 2002. I was 8 years old then. So Fitzmagic, those 2 weeks were amazing, but he made Tua just look silly in terms of just giving the team a chance to win.
And so, honestly, I tell Dolphins fans this all the time. If they were to stick with Fitzmagic that entire season last year, then they would have made the playoffs. They would have won 11 to 12 games.
Yeah,
1,000%.
I would have liked to have them set him and then brought him in this year, where he's had a full year under his belt.
Exactly.
Because you've got Fitzmagic at your disposal. You know what you have with him, and why not just let this guy go ahead and play out the year? And you kind of see what some of your younger players what you have, and then when you're ready to move on from him, that's where you make your changes. In the off season.
I think the Jets should have taken that advice. I don't think Zach Wilson's ready since we're on the AFC East. I don't understand this.
Zach Wilson's about to, dude, that man's about to be a deer in the headlights this year. I guarantee you.
Because they were talking.
He's already screwed.
Yeah, somebody tweeted out, name a better Wilson than Zach Wilson. And so they had this list, and I had to put Grady Wilson from Sanford and Son on there because I'm not 100% sold on Zach Wilson. But there's I don't know. He may change my mind, but I think this is a year to learn. I wish they would have brought in a veteran and let him sit behind him.
Well, if you're you're drafting Zach Wilson because you think he can be Mahomes. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. I didn't like Wilson. His that Chiefs style of football to me isn't exactly what everyone should strive to be, just because it's so hard to get that QB position right to give you the flexibility, and you also have to have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill in order to make it work. Let's be honest there.
Yeah.
But Zach Wilson's coming into no weapons. Yes, a decent offensive line. They at least address that. But if a QB is known for running around and making plays on the run, the Chiefs have shown you don't need a top top 5 offensive line. You can settle for a top 15 as long as they're average. And Zach Wilson is going to face 3 really good secondaries, a couple really good pass rushes just in the division.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I will give the Jets, right? One thing I will give the Jets is that they understand their weaknesses and they invested heavily in their offensive line, not only this past year, but this year as well. I really like Saleh. I really like Saleh as a head coach for them. Right now, the AFC East is exclusively a defensive-minded head coach division. So
you guys are going to beat the hell out of each other.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Right now, honestly, bro, I see us sweeping the division this year. I do not see us losing to a single team in the AFC East this year.
You guys do that. Not a damn team out there.
Second year in a row, we're going to sweep the AFC East. Hands down. There is no question in my mind. I would put my mortgage on it that we are going to sweep the AFC East this year. Pats, Jets, Dolphins. We are going to sweep them all day. But I'm saying that I think that the moves that the Jets have been putting in place with Saleh coming into it, I think that they're going to be not contenders, but I would say that they're going to be a good team within 2 years.
Exactly. And that's my point. So why are you throwing Zach Wilson out there now?
Well, who else do they have though right now? I think they ended up getting Josh Jackson or Josh Johnson or something like that, as their backup.
They could have gone after vets. There's a lot of vets out there.
Oh yeah, they're definitely.
But the thing is, they didn't even put a vet really with him. They didn't give him a 38-year-old who can just teach them the in and outs. He's literally the guy and the only guy. There's no real mentorship there. I love Robert Saleh. If you ever listen to the Flying Coach podcast with Schrager and McVay, great listen. They got a lot of the younger minds on that podcast, and Saleh's amazing. I just don't know. I think if you get a quarterback like Wilson and get him gun shy, we're seeing, ghosts early. Sorry, Sam Darnold, but I think it's just a recipe for disaster because someone's so young, and it's not like he's 6'5", 230 like Josh Allen and can take hits. Mm-hmm. This is a guy of one hit, he's probably done. One knee injury, RG3 type thing, it can mess up your career.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you from there. I was reading an article saying that I think that Zach Wilson did so poorly in one practice that they just ended up stopping practice. They're we're good. We're just gonna start over tomorrow and see what's going on. But then again, it's rough because back in the day when it came to the NFL with a rookie quarterback, their entire mentality was, hey, listen, I want him to learn under a veteran for at least a year right before I throw him out there. But now it seems to be that they're just throwing these poor young ass kids out to the wolves. And they're listen, you better win us football games right now. And they're giving up on them almost immediately.
Well, we learned that with Jameis Winston. Anyone can buy into the hype of what's going on in New Orleans, but you need, even if they're number 1 overall picks, there's guys who are ready. I think Lawrence is ready. Jameis had issues coming in. There's certain guys that even if they're not number 1 overall picks are more NFL ready to at least come out there. And I think there has to be just a better, it can't just all be about ticket sales, jersey sales. We're talking about a 22, 23, 24-year-old guy, very immature just in general. We see how these guys are in social media and, they have so much spotlight at them at a young age. And now we're dealing with athletes getting paid millions of dollars before they even get into the league. So I think there's a lot with that ego that I think there has to be an ego check. We're all in the professional world. We're all older when we're 22. We didn't understand what we knew at 26, and I think that athletes have to be given that benefit of the doubt at some point.
For sure.
Bro, I gotta say, you got a lot of Dolphins fans that are coming for you, man.
As soon as you said Dolphins, they came in the chat.
My boy. And so Finstock's my boy. I would say that he's probably and so one of the 4 Dolphins fans that are friendly to me. He's my friend. But yes. And so to answer your question, Finstock, absolutely. And I have been on record saying with this to several Dolphins fans, I've seen some Dolphins fans wanting to already throw Tua out, be oh my God, he's a bust. Let's go figure out another situation. Absolutely not. If so many teams, and I think like the biggest mistake with teams is that they draft a quarterback in the first or second round, the first season, that you throw them into the Wolves and you throw them into an entire different world, which is different from college football. And if they don't produce, you're ready to go on ahead and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this guy. Don't do that at all. Like, let this kid learn.
Adapt to their strengths.
So what is the thing? It's a rookie. You don't know what a rookie is for 3 years. I think it's
you can't.
Years.
I'd say 3 years.
Until 3 years from now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when you get an idea of what you have with the player. Anything after that, you will see tendencies that you could go through game film from the beginning till now, and you can actually see those tendencies throughout that time. So, when a player has a rough rookie year, I mean, you can't just give up on them because there are players that they learn at different speeds. So I don't know.
Exactly. And so a perfect example. And so I think Josh Rosen got fucked.
Oh my God. That guy, he must have like some kind of bad luck omen dark cloud over his head.
Dude.
That fucking guy, I mean, everywhere he went, he got fucked.
Dude, I think that
that Frisco and
the 49ers, they drafted Trey Lance and they still have Jimmy G. He left a soup, like he was supposed to be what Kyle Trask is right now. That was the original plan for Rosen in Tampa. Yeah. Then he dipped and now he got screwed again.
Yeah. And so honestly, man, I sincerely believe that organizations need to give a young quarterback at least 3 years and build around him. Like, don't just throw him into your system and expect him to absolutely thrive. That's what, all right. So this is the deal. If Josh Allen were to go to any other team besides the Buffalo Bills, we would not be talking about the exact same Josh Allen right now, because we had a front office that built around his strengths. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson were to go anywhere else besides the Baltimore Ravens that didn't build around his strengths, he would not be Lamar Jackson. So many front offices make that mistake of drafting somebody, throwing them in a system that they are not used to. And once they don't see results, they just give up. It's terrible.
It is. And I think it's egos. I mean, why not, bend a little bit and say, hey, okay, this is his strength. Let's build around his strengths and build something. You got guys they're trying to force this guy into a round peg into a square hole or whatever.
We saw that with the Bucs and Brady even last year. I mean, we saw the first 5 games, you saw a very Jameis-esque offense. And then obviously after the bye, things, changed significantly more so. But you could see wrinkles in the middle of the season that it became a little bit more Brady friendly before they pushed all the chips in Brady and play action and keeping it short. But as we're seeing with Brady, you cannot look good despite being one of the best quarterbacks of all time, probably the greatest, and still not succeed. The Bucs got train wrecked by the Saints twice.
Yeah.
Got train wrecked. Got beat by the Chiefs at home. Got beat by the Rams at home. Almost lost to teams like the Vikings at home. These are games that, at home you're supposed to win, or at least keep them a little bit more competitive. The Chiefs put up 290 yards and Tyreek Hill 210 in the first quarter.
But on the flip side of that, I think they started making adjustments on the back end in the second half because the Chiefs only scored 7 points in that.
The rest of the game, yeah. But my point is, you were playing Jameis offense to try to keep up with them rather than just stick to your game, do what you're supposed to do, work methodically up the field, because that's what Brady's strength is. Brady, and you know what? Brady did do a great job throwing the ball down the field, and he led the league in, yards per attempt or whatever. But at the end of the day, though, at the beginning of the year, they were still throwing it deep, and it wasn't successful because they didn't set it up to let Brady have the defense, get picked apart, and then you take your deep shot.
Dude, I've got to get a Dolphins podcaster on with you guys coming on here.
Well, my friend, I have somebody that I guarantee you will love, especially since you're playing the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
And so his name is TD Finstock. He's a very good friend of mine. And let's just say that he is probably, I would say, the most unrealistically optimistic fan I have ever met in my entire life. Ever since
Ramona's going to love him.
So it sounds
Ever since I met him, he was just like, I was like, yo, TD, like, how do you think that and so how do you think the Dolphins are going to do this year? He's like, oh, 17-0 Super Bowl champs, dude. Every year for the past 3 years, this guy has said the same thing. So trust me, that guy, yeah. Like, I mean, like, definitely hit me up for any type of YouTuber.
Yeah.
But like you want like a unrealistic personality for expectations, hit me up. I have a list. I got you.
Yeah, because they're talking like they're going to win a division, man. Just I'm going to have to revisit Miami and see what's going on. What are they cooking down there? See what's
and
going
there's
on.
So many questions with their quarterback room. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, the Dolphins will win and so the Dolphins will make the playoffs this year. They will. Yeah. Okay. And so Dolphins fans that are in here right now, y'all will make the playoffs, but don't even think that you're going to win the division because we are going to wipe our asses with you twice this season. I promise you.
Well, speaking of optimism, Josh Allen's contract. All right. Obviously this is the big one. Now, obviously, do you think last year is the best version we're ever going to see of Josh Allen? Do you think he's going to even take – I mean, I'm not going to say a big step back because I think Josh Allen showed us what he's capable of. But do you think there's a slight step down, or do you think he can even take another step or two?
So, okay. So, like, I mean, like, I'm going to be, like, super realistic with you guys right now. As far as Josh Allen's contract is concerned, I was a huge advocate for waiting for next offseason. I was a huge advocate for waiting for next
What is it about Josh Allen that made you say that you would because normally when you put up a contract like that, he's my guy. This is my guy, the guy I'm going with. This is who I'm rolling with. What is it about him that made you kind of question that right now? So
really, he only had one good season. And honestly, like, I mean, like, that's like the biggest reason why I was just like, let's wait. Like, I mean, like, at least give me a season and a half of me seeing Josh Allen playing at the form that he played in 2020. Because right in 2019, he definitely took a step forward from his rookie year. His rookie year was an improvement from what we had, don't get me wrong. But his second season, he brought us to the playoffs. We ended up losing to the Houston Texans, which still breaks my heart each and every single time. But when it comes down into overall performance, we only saw an elite Josh Allen for one season, right? So now
was that personnel? Let me ask you this: was that your offensive?
The biggest change was Stephon Diggs.
Oh,
that's the elephant in the room. Did Stephon take him to the next level, or was Josh Allen already there and Stephon was just the cherry on top?
Like, I would say that Stephon Diggs was not the reason why Josh Allen did so well, but I think that Stephon Diggs was the reason that Josh Allen ended up taking that next step to the next level, right? So say, for example, that we were to wait to pay Josh Allen right to next season, and he had that same chemistry with Stephon Diggs in 2021, then Stephon Diggs could leave, and then I would have full confidence that Josh Allen could do that with anybody on our roster, like type thing. I think Stephon Diggs was a tremendous asset to his development. Do I think that it was exclusively the reason why he did so well? No, because Josh Allen ended up breaking a record for going out ahead and throwing a touchdown pass to it. Like, I'm pretty sure it was 11 to 12 different players on the team. So, like, I mean, like, he wasn't just exclusively focusing on Stephon Diggs. Like, I mean, like, he was clearly spreading it across the field the entire year. It definitely helped his development, but I want to see what he can do. First off, this is my biggest concern, right? Because when Josh Allen was first drafted, he was just like, you know what? Like, when I'm in front of these big crowds, I get like super anxious and like I like make like these like superhero plays. And that's what makes me happy.
I swear, deja vu. I've seen this.
Yeah.
I've seen this for like 5 years.
Yeah. Last year, obviously, we barely had any fans in the stands for the majority of the games that we played. Josh Allen balled. So say that I was a part of the front office, I would have waited to see this season to see if he could at least produce the exact same or at least marginally less than what he produced in 2020 with full packed ass stadiums, like type thing. So my biggest concern is, can Josh Allen put the entire thing when there is a stadium filled with 60,000, 30,000 fans, like going forward with that?
Well,
now,
and then you mentioned the fans in the stands. Sorry to cut you off,
go ahead.
but with the Cole Beasley situation, I'm not trying to get political here, but we saw in the NBA playoffs, for instance, Chris Paul, got COVID, had to be shut down. There's the risk of other players possibly getting it. Is that something that's worrying you in the locker room in terms of, COVID spreading, and losing? We saw teams lose entire rooms essentially. I think it was the Giants or the Ravens. Someone lost an entire wide receiver room.
Yeah.
So is that something that you're concerned about from an NFL playing standpoint?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely something that's concerning, especially since it seems like the NFL is going to be really going down and really hammering down on the consequences for players that are not vaccinated. I'm pretty sure that they came out a week or two ago saying that if a player that is unvaccinated causes an outbreak, that there will not be a reschedule and we will just take a forfeit going into it. It is definitely a concern, moving forward with that. And so honestly, as far as the vaccination issue is concerned, I personally, I am vaccinated, but I also respect the fact if somebody doesn't want to be, do you, bro? You're your thing.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of where we are here. I mean, if that's your choice, because I think that's what's wrong right now with the world is everybody's, hey, this is my opinion, I need to force this or beat you down with my opinion. It shouldn't be like that. I know that it's not whatever they're doing. That's on them. To me, it's not right, but I'm not going to sit here and beat somebody down for what they believe. Hey, that's on you. That's on you.
Exactly. So, as far as the Beasley situation is concerned, luckily, and so apparently he doesn't run his social media during the season. So, we're not going to be seeing any other thing. His team is going to be running it. So, whether or not that he's vaccinated, and plus, dude, honestly, and so with Deion Dawkins, he's our offensive tackle, and he got COVID and he got vaccinated. So, at the end of the day, I don't foresee this being as big of an issue as it was in 2020.
Yeah.
And let's just go ahead and cross our fingers that as far as the protocols are concerned, that they're good. And boys, listen, I hate to do this live, but your boy needs to take a piss. So I'll be right back.
Do your thing, bro.
That's what beer does, man.
This is why I wanted him on here. This show has been great. Shout out to everybody. This is your first time checking us out. Please smash that like button and
subscribe.
Subscribe, yeah. So I think when he comes back, I do want to talk about the matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills and how we all match up. I do want to talk about what's been going on with camp with the Buccaneers as well. Jesus Christ, that defense is scary. I would hate to be offensive coordinator. If the Bucs are on your schedule, I'd hate to be an offensive coordinator trying to figure out how to deal with this Buccaneers defense. Just the way these guys have been playing. I don't know about you, KB, but
can I throw out a 5-man line for you right now? Can we throw out Shaq Barrett on the outside with Joe Tryon, who's apparently doing his best Shaq and JPP impression in camp, on the other side, with JPP kicked in on the inside, Vita Vea in the middle, and then you have Devin White as a jack of all trades just running around the entire line.
And we haven't even talked
about that. Doesn't scare the shit out of you.
And then we haven't even talked about Ndamukong Suh. You've got that front line is just filthy. And we haven't, you talk about the linebacker core, Levante David, who's
and then
balling
with
out.
the Bills. And with the Bills, this is still relevant. I don't know if you're aware, but in my first ever mock draft for the Bucs report, I put out Greg Rousseau to be my pick for the Bucs. Now, the issue that I wound up running into is I didn't think guys like Tryon were going to last. Rousseau, to me, he has all the physical capabilities. So how has he been looking in Bill's camp? Because as someone who was very high on him coming out, I'm curious.
Yeah. So as far as Rousseau is concerned, I mean, I would say like the majority of the reports is just like the praise of his size. So many players in our defense have been saying like, wow, like this guy is a big dude.
He's a unit.
Oh my God, he is. I mean, he's like 6'6", 6'7".
Rocked
up. So far, like, I mean, like, he's definitely been performing as well as anybody can be when it comes to like non-padded practices, right? So the one thing that concerns me about Rousseau is the fact that he opted out of his final year in college and he entered into the draft from there. And I mean, so many Dolphins fans are like, oh yeah, like we got the better defensive end from Miami, like blah, blah, blah. Like I do not agree with that whatsoever. I feel that like Rousseau has a significant higher ceiling than the other defensive end that was drafted out of Miami to Miami, if you will. But it's definitely going to be something that I am looking for because the Bills are so desperate in finding a defensive end that can cause pressure on a quarterback. And I mean, I hate to be beating a dead horse, but I feel like if Star Lotulelei, our defensive tackle last year, did not opt out, we would not have been having this conversation right now.
If Vita Vea never came back for the playoffs, we might not have a trophy in our case. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's rough. Like, I mean, like, I think that a lot of it comes down into missing pieces. And I think that you are about to see a way better pass rush going into it. And as far as the domino effect is concerned, our secondary is going to perform as well. But going back right to the original question, I have very high hopes for Rousseau. But at the end of the day, my hopes are as high as they would be for any type of rookie. And like, I mean, I'm not expecting I'm not expecting him to like lead. And so the NFL and like sacks or overall pressures or quarterback knockdowns at this point. But what I do want to see is a solid transition from college football into the NFL from him.
I do want to say this just real quick, just so we get this out of the way. I want to get you back on here, like maybe the week before the Bucs face the Buffalo Bills. Make sure I can lock you in where you can come on. I think we may both be in Tampa at that time. I'm not sure.
Oh, we will.
So there's a couple of spots where I do go live, and with Bucs Report, there are places where we can all link up and, I'll take care of you. I promise. But for me, like right now, when you're looking at this Buffalo Bills team versus the roster that you're seeing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I know you probably have not had a chance to check them out in camp or anything like that. And camp really doesn't mean anything until, it just doesn't mean anything. It's just getting ready for the regular season.
Yeah.
But how do you feel like, Buffalo matches up with Tampa? I mean, just as of right now.
So right now, I see this probably being one of our most difficult games. I'm not going to lie to you. I ended up putting out a video about a month ago for me going through our schedule and me sort of making predictions of wins and losses. And I did have us like ending up with 15 wins, but I did end up having us having one of the losses against the Buccaneers. And a lot of it has to do with your pass rush and your defensive line, because our offensive line is very inconsistent for the most part. We have a lot of injury prone individuals right on that roster. And as much as I appreciate the fact that Josh Allen has the ability to make plays outside of the pocket, I think that that's going to be a tremendous issue. I'm calling for the Bills and the Bucs game to be an absolute shootout. And I'm not sure whether or not, so it's a Monday night game or is it just like a standard one?
Sunday at 4, I think.
Yeah, I think they
make 4:25.
And I'm seriously thinking that they're going to flex this game.
I don't, because they want Tony Romo on it. That's the thing, and they can't give the Bucs more primetime games. They have the 5.
They better, because this is going to be a shootout.
This should have been week 1. I said this at the beginning of the show. This should have been week 1.
Yeah, this should have been week 1, and this would have been the ideal game. Setting up for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but
honestly, I'm fine with playing the Steelers. So I'm fine with fucking up Big Ben and just going 1-0 after week 1 too. I'm fine not to have a game that I'm worried about for week 1.
Yeah. On the Bucs, we are on your analysis of the game. I'm kind of in your boat. For the Bills, I think their biggest struggles will come when the Bucs go 12 personnel. Let's say hypothetically OJ Howard is still healthy with Gronk, and then you have to pick your poison of whatever your CB2 or CB3 is going to be going against, AB, Godwin, or Evans. I think that's going to be the biggest issue for the Bills. But in terms of offensively, I think if you establish the run, which the Bucs have shown the past 2 years to be the number one run stuffing defense, but let's say Vita Vea's out, the Ndamukong Suh's out, let's say there's some injuries going on in the interior. I think that's how you beat the Bucs, and I think you're stout enough up front in order to do that. Yeah. But again, I think the Bucs is the wrong team if you want to get into a shootout with.
Yeah, and as far as the run goes, I think something that really doesn't get talked about a lot is the Bucs' ability to stop the run, especially I would say over the past 2 years. They have just been just ridiculous, and they've gone, and it hasn't been scrubs that they've gone up against. And I look at your lineup here, and I'm wondering, like somebody like a Zach Moss, is Zach Moss in the running to be your RB number 1?
So here's the deal. This is going to be a hot take right here.
Hot take. Here we go.
I've said this. Okay, by week 4, our RB1 is going to be Matt Breida. Matt Breida will be our RB1. The speed that man has to offer. And I mean, granted, if this guy can stay healthy, this is all considering if he can end up staying healthy. And I know a lot of Dolphins fans are about to be laughing at me at this point, but I sincerely believe that he was misused in Miami.
So a Bucs fan has a question. Bud Cannibalist is asking, how has he looked in camp so far?
So Breida?
Yeah.
So right now, as far as camp has been concerned, he is about second in the depth chart as far as that is concerned, just because Zach Moss has been injured for the most part.
Right.
And so really looking into it, really looking into our whole running game issues last year, a lot of it had to do with the fact with our offensive line. Because Brian Dable, our offensive coordinator, as many of you probably saw during film and watching the Bills last year, we completely switched over to a pass-first offense. Right. In 2019, we were a run-first offense.
That was game 7 you started seeing that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So right within the year previous to that, we were exclusively a run first offense. But then in 2020, out of nowhere, we became in pass first offense with Stephon Diggs coming into it. So many of our offensive linemen admitted being hey, listen, we completely switched up our scheme. So when we were called the run block, we were a little rusty because 75 to 80% of the plays that were called were pass rush. And that was it. The issue with our run game was the fact that we didn't have enough speed, right in the back. We had Singletary and Moss, who are more of sort of like the power backs and stuff along those lines, somewhat shifty. And as far as a running back from that position was concerned, we were significantly lacking speed. And bringing in Breida, who is arguably the fastest running back in the entire league, I have a feeling that this is going to be the guy that's going to be able to mesh the best with our offensive line because he's going to be able to hit these holes that the offensive line is creating a hell of a lot faster than Singletary and Moss will be able to. So that's why I'm so high on Breida at this point, because I feel like he's a way better fit for our offensive line scheme than he was in Miami.
I think that was a good move for him to come to Buffalo. I think that was a really good fit.
Too.
Because if you're having open running back competition, here's a chance for him to really show what he can do. And I do believe that when this is all said and done with, I'm with you. He's somebody, he has experience. I think that he could be your number 1 running back. Definitely.
Well, to me, he does what Singletary and Moss don't do at a higher level. He catches really well. He's fast.
He's an amazing pass catching back. And that's what the Buffalo Bills offense is. It's a passing game. And that's and so it's not even opposing fan bases, it's Bills fan bases. They call me crazy. They're like, dude, there's no way that Breida's going to be our RB1. He fits our formula of how our offense is run. He fits our formula. He has the speed and he has the ability to be a pass-catching running back. And that's why I guarantee you by week 4, week 5, he's going to be dominating snaps.
Well, and what people forget is a starting running back today isn't who gets shown on the TV for the first play of the game. It's who plays the most snaps, like you're saying. So if the Bills are, passing a bunch on 2nd and 3rd down, guess who's out there 2 downs to Moss's and Singletary's 1 on 1st down? Those snaps will add up for Breida.
But what you have to really consider, we've got another game added to the season. I think you're going to eventually see all these running backs at some point. And they just have to, when they get their number called, they have to be able to perform at that time.
Man, if I'm a running back in college, I'm switching to linebacker. Like, these running backs, man, like, this is ridiculous. The amount of just, like we said about wide receiver, there's just too many running backs. Like, you can't get paid. You have to be top 5. And even then, like, Derrick Henry's worth more than $12 million a year.
He's like the exception to the rule.
Exactly, but that's what I mean. But he's not getting stupid money. Like, it's just crazy. Like we're talking about the Bills, and the Bucs are in a similar situation. Have 3 good running backs. One who's a very good pass catching running back. The other 2 is, like, to me, Zach Moss is very much like Rojo, just not as fast. Singletary is very much like Leonard, like, not spectacular at anything, just does everything okay. And then Breida is very much like Gio. Like, it's a very similar running back room, and I think that's how you have to structure in the NFL. You have to have 3 guys.
Yeah.
So Dan, I first off, I want to thank you for coming on, and with everybody that comes on the show, KB knows what's coming. I got to drop you in the hot seat, man. I just got to do this. So how this works, I've got 10 questions. You got 1 minute to answer these 10 questions. There's no wrong answer. Remember what I'm saying here. No wrong answer. You just got to drop the answer in there.
Okay.
And,
Go quick. Don't think.
Exactly. Just boom. And I've got a Smack Apparel Buffalo Bills t-shirt for you in your size.
Okay.
I appreciate you coming on. So yeah, go ahead and hit that beer one more time, man, and we will go.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. First question. I'm 100% confident in Mitch Trubisky as the number 2. Buy or sell?
Buy. 1,000%. I would take him over and so Matt Barkley any day of the week.
Tua can lead this Dolphins team to the playoffs. Buy or sell?
And so what's that again?
Tua can lead his team to the Dolphins to the playoffs. Buy or sell?
Buy.
Matt Jones or Cam Newton? Who you got?
Cam.
New York Jets, pretender or contender?
Pretender.
Trey Lance or Jimmy G? Who you got?
Jimmy G.
New Orleans Saints, contender or pretender?
Contender.
Carson Wentz will lead the Colts to the division title. Buy or sell?
Buy.
The Bills will sweep the Patriots in 2021. Buy or sell?
Buy.
Sean McDermott is in the hot seat. Buy or sell?
Sell. No way.
The Kansas City Chiefs are contenders or pretenders?
Contenders.
Boom. You got this, man. With a minute,
Nice.
with a second to spare. And I'll get your information. I'm going to get your information. I will get you a shirt out. I'm going to talk to my guy over Smack Apparel. Be sure to check out Smack Apparel if you can. SmackApparel.com. Your team's on there. These are some really cool ass shirts, well made, and I appreciate you playing, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate that.
While we're on the backup quarterback, real quick. So, are you guys going to keep 3? Because I see Davis Webb and Jake Fromm.
No, like
It's just
last
2?
year, no, dude. I foresee that it's most likely just going to be Josh Allen and so Mitch Trubisky.
I think it's a great spot for Trubisky, though. I mean, if you're going to be a backup, I think this is a great place to be.
Oh my God, dude! Listen, like I just said, I would 1,000% trust Mitch right over Matt Barkley. 1,000%. If Josh Allen were to go down, knock on wood, for like 2 or 3 weeks, I would trust Mitch to at the very least win us 2 out of those 3 games. with all the weapons that he has, the offensive line, our defense, I guarantee you Mitch will win 2 out of those 3
Do you
games.
think Mitch Trubisky fits in that scheme better than what he did with Chicago?
1,000%. Just because we have a way better offensive line than him, and we have some very shiny toys on our offensive as far as playmakers are concerned. I mean, worst case scenario, like with receivers like Stephon Diggs or Cole Beasley, those receivers are the type of receivers that make even the average quarterback look decent.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
I like Cole Beasley. I always have. I just didn't like him when he was in Dallas.
Oh yeah, well, he's definitely a douche.
No, I just don't like Dallas, but
yeah, for sure. But I definitely trust Mitch. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going to a different team next year and becoming a starter again in his career. I guarantee you.
There you go.
And so he'll be a starter again.
Well, my friend, thank you so much. Tell everybody out here how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, for sure. So say, for example, that you like so the NFL videos or Buffalo Bills videos, you can find me on YouTube at Dan Mitchell. Just go ahead and just throw in the search bar, Dan Mitchell. You will find my videos there. As far as all socials are concerned, Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, Real Dan Mitchell, same user handle for practically every single social media platform. Find me there. Best way to get in contact with me is certainly on Twitter. So just go on ahead and just shoot me a DM or tweet at me, and love talking football. So feel free to follow me there.
That's what it's all about, man. I love this. KB, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. You have been blowing up, man. I've been seeing your tweets all over the place.
They all know. Bucs_Barrett. Not Barrett _Bucs.
They all know.
No, it's funny. There's at Pewter Report, there's a Barrett _Bucs.
Yeah, what the fuck?
He's a writer in UK, but he actually writes for Pewter Report. So, I mean, it's good for him. But every time they post something from him, I always do a double take because I'm Bucs_Barrett. It's beautiful. Just make sure you get Bucs_Barrett.
That's what's
all
up.
I ask.
Dude, thank you so much. And this is what I love about the community. Hopefully you can tune in when you know what? Oh, I forgot to mention. Don't start Caleb Benenoch. Thank you, Plus. Appreciate that. Caleb Benenoch. I'm going to tell you right now, he's the devil. I'm just saying. Well, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, yeah?
Anything else about Caleb Benenoch? He is, okay, how do you say it in Espanol?
Turntable?
Un bueno. That's him. Un bueno. You'll see. You'll mark my words, you're going to see. And your liver and whatever else, when you drink or whatever, you're going to remember Turnstile Benenoch. But anyway, that guy is really just.
I think he had the lowest grade on PFF, everyone who does a grading scale, his 1 year here, 2018, 2019, whatever it was, under Cutter. I swear to God, he had the lowest grade on every single one of them. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think there was a negative F or something.
It was actually warranted too. That's what's scary because sometimes you can read into PFF and be like, "What the fuck?" But Kate Benenoch, it was yeah.
All right. Well, I want to shout out Bucs Report. Thank you, Bucs Report, for giving us the opportunity to do this. You are greatly appreciated. Look for big things from Bucs Report in the coming weeks. And if you get a chance, you want to know about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're new to the site. You're new to Buck What You Heard, be sure to check out Bucs Report. There's always information. I love football, so it's not hard for me to go and gravitate to other sites like my man Dan here. And that's what we're going to do. Dan, please, when I have a Dolphins person on, you have to either be in the chat.
Please let me on.
Or I will have you on because
I'll be the moderator.
Ramona has been I've never seen Ramona lob shots like this. She's been
Dolphins fans they love to hate me, right? So I mean that's why that's where we're at right now.
and you embrace it. That's what I love about it. You embrace it, my friend. Hey, thank you so much, and I am looking forward to hanging out with you when we get closer to the Bucs. Right after week 13, I think we could get together and we will hang out in Tampa.
In person.
We are going to make that happen. All right, guys. Again, you can reach me at Buck What You Heard. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button. Anybody, if you're a Bucs fan or if you're just a football fan, You're welcome here at any time, and I appreciate you. All right, guys, I am out of here, and